All right. Well, then let's just start us off. Welcome to Section 31, episode number 357. I'm Dan Hammond.
And I am Rogue Schindler.
This week, the two of us have finished the series, the first season of Discovery, so we'll talk a bit about that. We've made some plans for Gen Con, so we can discuss that. I've got a random other thing, and then you've got a random other thing. So let's start with Discovery. This is the first time that I didn't just hit close as soon as the credits started rolling.
Yeah, there's some good music.
Spoilers abound, in case you haven't seen it yet, but it's been a day or two. What did you think about the episode, the last two episodes? So we got the captain back, and she spoiler, she got away at the end. But specifically, now that we've seen the entire first season, first half and the second half, the first two chapters, what do you think about the full arc from start to finish?
Well, I'm eager to watch it again, straight through. I'm curious to see how the tone feels if it's a little bit more. Because I was thinking of, I saw Kevin Reitzel, an old Decipherian friend of ours. He hosts a podcast where they talk about it, and he just mentioned something on Facebook where he basically suggested, if you watched just the first two episodes or just the free episode or whatever, make sure you go back and give it a shot. Now that it's all up online, like you said, you can get your free trial and watch the whole thing as long as you do it in a week or however long your trial is. And that got me thinking about how we've talked a little bit before how this is really the first serial Star Trek. I mean, DS9 did a bit towards the end, but this is really the first one in the modern era of television where, it's not being Star Trek. There were some three-parters in Enterprise. They started to toy with that. They kind of did a Xindi arc a little bit, but it was all interspersed with episodes. This one is 100% start to finish, one's big story arc with a few other things going on, but it's dedicated to that.
I certainly agree. If nothing else, all the other shows started off episodic and maybe, as you said, dip their toes into the serial, but this was start to finish. We got everything leading one episode to the next. And if you miss one, you're going to be asking questions.
Yeah. So I'm definitely curious to go. It certainly, my knee-jerk reaction is to be like, well, it felt kind of slow as it started building up. Still interesting, but we were all in this sort of, we had too many things to think about at the time. Like, does this feel like Star Trek? Am I conflicted about what they're doing with Klingons? Or, how do I feel about this merging with TOS and blah, blah, blah. But just to go back and watch it as one cohesive unit, I think I'm going to like it even more. This back half of television, I feel like, is one of the best half seasons of anything.
Yeah. I think you talked about watching it again. I think the backstory that we got from Burnham about her family and what really happened with the Klingons, that will paint, I think, those first two episodes in a new light. Right? We'll actually have some reasoning for the actions she's taken. Man, it's tough that we had to wait for the entire end of the season to get there.
Yeah, and there's a lot in that. Like, we talked a lot about watching those first two episodes and going, that was really interesting, but that was a whole lot of setup and backstory that I don't like, way more than I feel like we needed. And then it turns out, we really did need all of that to really, the relationship with Michael and Giorgio and, Voq and, her background. And, there was so much in that really pays off in the end. That we needed. So, it was really, really well crafted. And it was a great testament to, I think, what you can do if you have a plan, A to Z about where you're going to go, or, A to B. I don't know. One of the things that I found interesting about that finale, about that last scene, was some of the rumors about Discovery was that it would be, anthology is not the right word because it's not a different crew every time, but like it would do one season of a crew, and then the next season would be a different crew, and then the next season will be a different crew, and so on. So from here, the question becomes, are we going to continue with Discovery, or are we going to get Pike's Enterprise?
We're going to jump to the Enterprise for a season. That'd be interesting to see who's on board, right?
It's kind of like, I mean, just the fact that they're having it at all is like opens up so many questions. You know, are they going to recast everyone? Are they going to bring anybody back? Is Spock going to be there? Which was a great shared look between Sarek and Michael when it's the Enterprise, and they're like, "Oh shit, Spock." Awkward.
Yeah, Spockward. I was really happy. Yes, I was really happy that the Enterprise looked like the Enterprise and not the Enterprise from, you know, a stylized version. It was a little bit, you know, updated from the original model, but I felt it looked maybe a little, you know, it was not the streamlined motion picture version. It was like a streamlined TOS version, and I could see them, you know, I could see being refit closer to the TOS at some point in the future. Yeah, but it looked basically. I thought it
was the same level up that it got in DS9.
Sure.
You know,
yeah,
we have cooler effects. We're gonna throw that in, but
there was in the mirror episode, there was a schematic of the Defiant, and it had weird things on the nacelle things, and I was like, is that what the Enterprise is going to look like when they get there? But they threw that away, so
yeah,
it looked fine.
So, I mean, that in itself, it's like, you know, are they going to get Quinto to come back? And
I'm not going to lie, I looked up his IMDb to see what he was doing right now.
I mean, that's like, I have mixed feelings about that. I mean, it would be cool. I don't see why not. You know, he's the other universe, but also, you know, it's supposed to be him when he's young in the Prime universe. Look the same. I don't know why he wouldn't.
I mean, it's Vulcans. They live for a very long time, so he probably would look about the same, unchanged. And you know, I remember a long time ago when, you know, the Star Trek, the first JJ Star Trek came out, was like, wow, that was a fun crew. I wish they were in a series so we could watch them.
Yeah,
yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, and like how much of that are they going to carry over? Because I mean, that was one episode, and Spock was not a main character. He was kind of secondary. He wasn't the first officer yet. He was a science officer, and he was kind of in the background. And there were multiple times where he's like grinning and having these weird expressions. And like, I guess, I don't know if they didn't really firmly establish the emotionlessness of Vulcan yet. So are we going to get the happy-go-lucky Spock?
Wouldn't it be interesting if, well, I mean, they've done...
and that's why Sarek is disgusted.
They've done so many little things like that between Enterprise and... I don't know about Discovery yet, but in Enterprise, they went and found little things in TOS that didn't make sense, and they wrote a story around it. Right. I would not be surprised if they wrote a story around why Spock is giddy and happy in the cage, right?
It's definitely the Telosian atmosphere.
All right. Well, I had a good time. I'm glad I spent, you know, the $10 for my month of access. I've got a week or two left. If I'm going to be traveling for work, so I might just do what you're suggesting and just watch the whole thing through, since I'll have some spare time on my hands. Yeah, I think it might do that, and we should have another discussion about it after we see it again. You know, we can watch all 15 episodes, not necessarily in a row, but
yeah, take a month and try to do a serial viewing of it, and when we're both done, come back and talk about it, because there's all kinds of things. I mean, we barely touched on. We kind of jumped straight to the end, but you know, more predictions that we talked about that didn't come to pass. One of the things I know Charlie mentioned, and I thought made a whole lot of sense, would be was that the mycelial network was going to get destroyed somehow, and particularly at the end of the Mirror arc, it really seemed like it was going to be the case, and that would explain. And you know, that'd be a great resolution to be like, okay, oh, this is why we don't have this right now.
Yeah, they did kind of leave that dangling where, one of the few lines that Stamets had was, we got to wait for then some kind of non-human interface.
Yeah.
Which means that they can, they've got that in their back pocket if they need to jump somewhere. So I guess, waiting plot device ready to happen.
Yeah. Or inevitable series finale of the destruction of Discovery before we get to TOS.
Well, I granted, we've never seen that ship class before. There's no reason it can't be just hanging around somewhere. Do we know that it's destroyed before TOS?
No.
Or is it just an old ship, right? It'll be not. I guess Enterprise has got to be top of the line, right? Flagship. Latest and greatest.
Yeah. The Constitution class would definitely be new, and they've talked about Discovery having been around for a while. So that's certainly a possibility. Just it's just comically, it doesn't have to blow up to get rid of the drive. Of course, the network being destroyed was one thing that could happen, or the spores up and deciding, hey, you know what, we're sentient and we don't like what you're doing, so bug off.
Yeah, send the water bearers after them.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like a plan. I will go back and spend some time going through the series again, and then we'll come back and chat about it. I think I put something on my calendar when I have to cancel my subscription. Otherwise, I get charged for another month. So we have a deadline, but it's not too far away. We got some time.
Yeah. I did like that they didn't hand wave Voq away like they kind of did with the surgery, but they didn't be like, okay, well, I guess that's over. It's still very much present as a plot, not device, but an item. That was cool that he was like, all right, well, this seems like a place for me.
Hanging thread that's still left open, like Captain Philippa.
Which was also awesome. Like that's one of those. I was like, all right, well, we have her come through and then we kill her because we don't want to have that running around. But like Thomas Riker.
Yeah, right. That's an interesting. I was going to say an interesting parallel, but that's probably a poor choice. So one of the things that I was reading some reviews in the last 15 minutes after I'd watched the episode, and one was, well, it's Star Trek. We got a giant reset button at the end, right? Michael Burnham's reinstated, right? She's got her command back. There was a long series of things. That was the biggest. Oh, the Klingon War is over, and they all went back home. But we left two kind of things. We still have what's his name? What was his human? Ash, and Ash and Philippa are running around as open threads, and that's still around. So it's not a complete reset. A lot of things got reset.
Yeah, I don't buy that. I like the fabled Star Trek reset button that's not that. That would be, we found, like when they came back from the mirror universe and they discovered, not only can we travel back to our universe, but we can travel through time. So I have to navigate correctly and make sure we get there at the right amount of time. And that's something where you're like, oh, okay, they're going to come back. They're going to come back before the war, and we'll discover the cloaking thing, and we'll stop the war before it begins. That's year of hell. That's Star Trek reset button. Her getting her command back, or her commission back, that's paltry compared to like the entire crew dying and coming back, or Harry Kim dying and then we're just going to take the other one and never speak of it again.
On that note, we didn't get the Doctor back. That was a prediction that I saw or made myself, that we'd get a mirror version of him or he'd be back somehow.
Yeah, we never even saw a mirror version of him. We just saw him in the network.
Yeah, that's right.
So
I wonder if he's still in the network. Huh.
Yeah. I mean, he saw him in the network and he's dead. So if Stamets still has to end up navigating that way, we could, we maybe haven't seen the last of Culber.
Yeah. Okay. Well, something to look forward to then. So when is it coming back again? Fall?
I believe so. That would be, yeah. I assume they're going to mirror what they did before.
All right.
I would be shocked if they did not air season 1 on the actual network on television, like over the summer.
I don't know. They'd have to do some serious editing because it was not for television, right?
Well, I mean, it can be for television. It's not for primetime network television, the way they usually regulate themselves. But I guess they there were some shits and some giggles, and a few, Giorgio's pansexual Orion scene, maybe a bit much, but like in general, it's on there. It's not on there so they can get cable-y with it. It's on there so that they can make money from we're trying desperately to start our streaming network. But what better way to do that than with I'm gonna go with pretty well received first season of a new Star Trek show, going into its second season, going out there to the standard network watchers who don't have the streaming service and saying, "Hey, look, we did this last season. Here's what you missed. Watch it. Hey, do you want to see season 2? Come sign up."
Pony up. Yeah. I think this fall, I'll probably, assuming it doesn't make the jump to Netflix or something else like that, since, that's always in the cards.
Sure.
What I would probably end up doing the same thing I did this time, which was a month toward the end of the first half and a month at the end of the second half, which I think is only an extra month. Just like 4 or 5 months anyway, right?
Yeah.
So I'd miss, I'd have to catch up quickly and then catch up at the end. But I would do that again. That seemed to work out for me. I didn't mind not having the show and then running a bunch of episodes together. I might have enjoyed it more since I got to watch a bunch of episodes together and didn't have that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly looking forward to trying that. In fact, since I am, I have not done the trial at all, I might go in and do that Amazon trial that you mentioned, and do that shortened version with the no commercials.
I tell you, this month has been no commercials, and it's been so much better because it's not the same commercial over and over again.
Yeah,
because the episodes are faster. That's great.
Because I would definitely like to do that. I don't think I would do it for season 2. I enjoyed way too much, especially after the first 5 or 6 episodes. It just was like a snowball and picked up such momentum. Every weekend it'd be like I'd sit down after putting the I want to say baby. She's not really a baby anymore, but putting the baby to bed and go, heave the great sigh, have something to eat, and oh well, weekend's over. Yeah, get ready for another work week, I guess. But wait, I have one last awesome thing I get to do to enjoy the weekend, and that's watch Discovery. And I was so excited every week, and I like 4, 5, 6 episodes in a row this last month and a half. I've been like, Caitlin keeps looking at me and laughing because I'm sitting on the table going,
yeah. I have to admit,
did that that happened?
I made noise when the theme song started at the end of the episode. There was a laugh out loud excitement bit. I did lean forward several times in this last episode. I don't know. I looking back, I think I had a better time than I think I did. So again, looking forward to the rewatch.
When they pan in, we're getting a distress call. What's the source? And they get the slowly the registry pops up.
I was half expecting that to be the Kobayashi Maru, because thing with the Klingons just kind of wrapped up, and now we got to go over there and they're going to shoot our people. But I don't know. Has that officially happened yet? I don't know what the date on that is.
Oh, I don't either. But that would be a great idea for an episode. Actually, have the Kobayashi Maru.
maybe.
Oh, that's really cool. I mean, you have to have a neutral zone first, so that's coming up. And now that the Empire is going to eventually be united, but yeah, that's a cool idea.
Yeah. So, and then when it said NCC, I was like, oh, we're going this way now.
1
because they had
7.
mentioned, yeah, they had mentioned, okay, so 1-7, right? It could have been 1710, which was the divide, right? Which they were already looking for, but never actually found.
Was oh no,
right?
Constellation was 1071.
Yeah,
I know.
I mean,
I know it had the same letters or the same numbers because
they only had so many stickers, right?
Yeah, they just exactly.
All right. Well, yeah, I know that they had mentioned Pike and the Enterprise in previous episodes, so yeah, it's fun that we actually get to see them. I'm looking forward to seeing what they decide to do now that. Well, so here's a thought: did they know that they were going to have a second season when they made this episode, the last episode, or was this just if we do, great. If not, this is a great place to end it.
That's a great question. I don't know that I have an answer to that.
And if they go into the second season thinking, all right, the first season was good enough that it made a second season, all we got to do is do good enough, and we'll probably have a third season, so they can write as if they're going to work towards, because they did a pretty good job of wrapping up. They could have just cut that last scene going to on the way to Vulcan, stopping to see the Enterprise, and it would have everything would have been tied up nicely, and it would have been a nice little anthology, or a nice little season miniseries. But knowing that they could potentially probably have a third season, do they write for a third season as they do the second season?
There was no reason that they had to do that this time, and I don't think like if you thinking about a mirror is probably a bad term to use for the season, but like if you're patterning it off at like a standard serial show type, I don't really think a lot of them do that. You kind of wrap it up and then maybe have like one tag to tease the next episode, but it's not usually a major plot tag or just something like that. And that was perfect. That was a perfect way to do it, unless they do actually jump over to the Enterprise for the whole season. But as far as teasing a little bit for next season, that was great. That was perfect. It could mean nothing. It could be like one episode and they get like a little bit of plot thing. It could be like 10 minutes. They do the cold open with Enterprise and then they go on their way and that they're off to Vulcan again. But and I'm fine. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of crying fanboys and be like, oh, you thought it was going to be a big deal. And it was just like 5 minutes. Blah, blah, blah. But you know what? Who cares? It was cool. We got to see their Enterprise at all. So, be thankful.
Yeah. Very good. Okay. I recall one of the things that I want to talk about in addition to Discovery. So shall we move on?
Sure.
All right. We were to have a pair of tournaments this weekend. That didn't actually happen. Instead, we put together a bunch of cards and kits and things, and I've got a big box of things to pack up. Can you see how deep that is? Yeah,
I can.
So we're working on that. We played some tribbles. The tradition continues. Charlie beat me with my own deck. He played the rescue deck. I played the bonus deck. Matt played a speed deck that managed to go out quickly once, but not again. And TV, always in striking distance, couldn't quite eclipse Charlie's 400,000. So that was fun. We had a good day, put together a lot of stuff, put together a lot of kits. I think the Masters kit for the East Coast is on its way, so it should be there probably tomorrow because it was overnighted. So that's good. Have you played Star Trek Adversaries?
Is that the X-Wing equivalent?
Negative. That is the Hearthstone equivalent.
Oh, I have not. I remember you mentioning that.
Yeah. You played Hearthstone a bit, yes?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So imagine exactly the same thing, except it's all Star Trek. And it's across all except JJ verse. So they've got Burnham and they've got Picard and Cisco and Sulu. They did a pretty good job of it's so close to Hearthstone. I can't imagine how they're not affiliated with Blizzard, but whatever. Uh, you choose a ship instead of a hero. The ship has a ultimate and a medium and an ultimate power that you build up to as you go. You play ships on the board. You can have up to 4 of them. And if you get crew and the ship has capacity, you play people on board the ships. So you can't play people unless you have a ship out. So the number of people in your deck is small. The number of ships in your deck is big. All the ships have when you play, or many of the ships have when you play abilities, when they explode abilities, and special abilities when things happen. And then you have to pretty much whittle down the opponent's flagship, but they got a bunch of ships in the way, and you should pick those off before they blow up your flagship. There's the beta is going on now. I think it's an open beta. The arena is open. You go to Quark's Bar and you buy a ticket that's free, and you play. You draft a deck. I never actually drafted a deck playing Hearthstone, but it looked very similar. You're shown you get a random 3
Yep.
flagships to choose from, and then you start building your 30-card deck by picking one of the 3 it flashes at a time.
Yep.
And then by the end, you get a little graph to see, what your costs are, so you can get a nice curve. And then you play until you have 3 losses, and depending on how many wins you get this court credits, which are not Latinum. Latinum's something else. So I think they ought to change that. But you get court credits that you can use to buy another event ticket or a pack or Latinum, so you can buy other things. And if you get enough, you get one of the elites or one of the legendary characters that are on display. I have never gotten that many, but I managed to get a pack every time, so I get to crack a pack and have at it. So that's been entertaining. You can play against others who happen to be online. Not a ton of people online right now, so usually when I hit multiplayer, you got to wait a bit. I've heard of folks going online at the same time, so I know Matt's going to be online. I'll jump on and try to pair up with him. I still haven't played against anybody I know yet, but I managed to get 1 win and like 10 losses, so I'm doing terrible. But it's been a lot of fun. Opening the packs, once you get like 3 or 4 of the same card, they just start turning into Latinum instead of cards, because you can only have so many. But you level them up. The stars look very similar to the stars in the Timelines game. I don't know what they do when you get good guys with lots of stars, but you can get stars, so I'm sure that'll be something in the future.
Oh, that's an interesting. That might be new from the Hearthstone aspect that it's been a couple of years since I played, but that's really cool.
The legendary cards are limited to 3 per deck of each type, so 3 ships and 3 personnel, and the rest have to be everything else. But anyway, I've had a lot of fun. It has been ships resource.
So it's like ships are like your creatures, and then personnel are more like your enchantments.
I guess you could say that, yeah.
Like you play it on a ship, and it has an effect.
Yeah, the personnel. So you remember back in Project Trek, where you had the front of the ship and the back of the ship? People played to either the front or the back and enhance weapons or defense?
Oh, vaguely.
Okay, well, something very similar. Ships either have a spot open in the front of the ship or the left or the right or both, and you can personnel have attributes that enhance weapons or defense. So you can put them in either of the slots if it's available.
Okay.
So you put put Tasha Yar on the front of the ship because she enhanced weapons, and you put
Jordy,
the Traveler, in the back because he does something else. So anyway, the Klingon ships come to play. There's 2 main factions, Earth and Klingon. But Earth has a Defiant, so you got a cloak ship. When you play them, you can't attack them until you attack with them, which was a similar feat to the to Hearthstone. Certain ships have Guardians, so you have to shoot them first before you can attack the opponent. Very, very similar rule. If you played Hearthstone, you'll know exactly what's going on. The interface has been getting better over the last 2 weeks, so it's a little bit more intuitive. But again, it has been a very big drain on my personal time resources. And right now it's free, so I feel like I've amassed, a bunch of. I don't have all the cards yet, but I've got a lot of them. Check it out if you have some, several hours in a row for free.
So how would one check that out?
That is an excellent question. There is a post on the boards, on our Trek boards, that has a link to it. So if you go to the everything else page under the forums, down there. No, you know what? I bet it's all things Trek. Yeah, Star Trek Adversaries Early Access. Okay, Coyotes. Daniel posted that, and there's a link there.
Cool.
But yeah, it's all the when the ships come in, they're 3D models and they look really nice. There's no mobile yet, but they promise that's coming probably once they can monetize it. All the cards look great. There's a few placeholder ships and personnel, but I've had a blast playing. I haven't even played very much, but I feel like I've unlocked a lot of the content. I haven't played a lot of Klingons yet, except in draft. All my open packs, you can choose 3 packs. You can choose the Everybody pack that has a lot of non-aligned stuff, but it has Federation and Klingon. You can choose a Klingon pack or the Federation pack, and I've been going mostly Federation pack because that's what I've been playing. All the major ship classes are there as ship types. There's like 12 on each side. There's a lot, and they all have different powers. So, if you have several hours in a row and access to your computer, check it out, and maybe we'll chat more about it next time.
Wow, this looks really pretty.
Yeah, it's slick. The intro, the installer is quick. The graphics are great, and you get like $20 of store credit when you make a new account, so you can just buy a bunch of packs and crack them open and see what you get, and then put something together.
That is really slick. Yeah, I'll have to check that out in my copious free time.
Copious free time. If it shows up on the phone, I will be in trouble. That's all I gotta say.
Oh yeah, that's probably a saving grace for me right now.
All right. What's next?
That is fantastic. You mentioned me having something, and I don't know what it was.
You want to show off your creative project?
Oh sure. I mean, it's not that creative, but I'm sure everybody is aware of the Broken Token as a board game ancillary accessories company, and we've talked a bit. That's actually not a bad thing. We haven't really reviewed of the many games that we played. I guess we talked a little bit in our cruise review, but I'm a big fan of a new game, new to me. It's only about a year old, called Terraforming Mars. So much so that I got it for Christmas. We played a lot, and one of the aspects of it is there is a player sheet that kind of helps you track your resources rather than having 6 different tokens types for the 6 different types of resources you generate in the game. They actually have these really cool shiny counters, little cubes. Everything is done in little cubes, but for the counter cubes rather than the player cubes, they have big gold ones and medium silver ones and little tiny copper ones for 1, 5, and 10. So you, depending on what resource it's representing, you put it on that area of your little sheet, and now I know that 5 counter means I have 5 titanium, and these 3 bronze counters means I have 3 plants because they're on the plant area, and so forth. And then you have your own player counter on the 6 individual production tracks to show you how much of each of those resources you produce. The downside, of course, is one bump of that little sheet, which is a piece of paper with a bunch of cubes on it, means everything goes, maybe not flying, but it kind of slides around, and you kind of have to rely on your cognitive fortitude to recall exactly where everything was, unless you have this really cool Broken Token organizational insert, which comes with 5 of these player tracks. And I'm actually holding this at about a 35-degree angle, 40, 45. And you can see all those cubes are staying in their little spot until I shake them out.
Yeah, that is really nice. The color on that blue really pops too. That's great.
Yeah, those are the blue player cubes. This is actually stained wood. I went ahead and went with the recommended Sedona red because, the red planet. That's
red planet.
Cool theming. But it just comes in plain, wood, and so you can keep that if you want. Really, really amazing. I can't wait to play this again and just have everything be nicely organized like that. I'm still working on the rest of the aspects, but I'm super, super excited. I was really on the fence about whether to get it, and I could not be happier. And I haven't even used it yet, but I can, we've played. I know how useful it's going to be, and so.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about the density of your table in case somebody kicks it or something and all the pieces go flying. They'll really hold everything nicely. And
in traditionally legendary broken token fashion, they all stack together using my player trays, and all of the tokens are in there. I've been taking the top ones off the top layer, but I've shook it up and flipped it over and around and taken them all, and everything is still in its place. It's really well put together and nested and solid, so there's no worry about losing all your pieces. So I give this a 10 out of 10 for board game accessory rating.
Nice. I'm glad to see it, because that was keeping track of all those counters was, there's enough going on with that game. It's nice to not have to worry about that quite as much.
Exactly. Yeah, that's one thing you don't have to want to have to worry about again. So, yeah, and I will say, having done this much of the work, and then there are a couple other holders for the other ancillary bits of the game. I am even more impressed. Not that I wasn't impressed already, but super duper impressed with the amount of work you must have done to put together your organizer for Gloomhaven, which has tons and tons and tons of pieces.
Yeah, that was a couple of days, a couple of nights of standing and gluing. But yeah, I'm as you said, 10 out of 10. Same for the Gloomhaven organizer. It would not have been feasible to play even as often as we have. Setup would have been an extra hour on either end. But yeah, no, it's been the best. I did have a slight falling apart, so I need to reglue part of one of the trays, but it is the top tray that holds the heaviest thing, and quite frankly, I think it was one of the earlier things that I did, so I'm not surprised that I probably didn't glue it together as well as I should have. So I'll just drop some more glue on that, and it'll be fine.
Yeah. I will say I've been very excited. I love going by their booth and just looking at all their stuff. Not all of the things they make I feel are strictly necessary. They have like ones for legendary and the ACG, Pathfinder ACG, and I'm like, this is a bunch of cards. You put them in a box and they stack together. I can do that. That's not a problem. But so I've been kind of like niggling in the back of my brain. It's like, it would be really cool to have a game that would be worth getting one of those cool organizers for, and that isn't Firefly, because the Firefly one is kind of ridiculous, as much as I covet it. But this one is totally worthwhile and a good addition to the game. So I'm excited to have it. I'm excited to have gotten it, have the experience, and I'm excited to have another game that would require it, because they're really cool and really nice about me picking it up, and it fits together really well. So good company overall.
Hey, good local San Diego company, right? You picked it up at Escondido? Right. Yeah, perfect. All right. We have, both of us have booked our flights for Gen Con, so we will be there. I've heard that the events have been posted internally, so there'll be, I guess, a Masters for each set and a bunch of sealed events there. So looking forward to that. I don't think we have any other news on that front, but other than, at the very least, we'll be there, right? So that'll be fun.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, excellent. Then I think we've been yapping enough. Shall we wrap it up with this?
I think so. Man, if you haven't watched Discovery, go watch it. If you have a point to what I think our opinions are pretty unanimously praiseworthy, or not praiseworthy, praising, give us a line. Maybe we can chat about it. I'm not going to get into a fight with you about it, but I'll be interested to hear your opinions, your thoughts, a little debate at section31@danhammond.com.
You got it. All right, and now is the perfect time. They're all up, so start a free trial, watch the whole thing. Let us know.
Absolutely. In the meantime, I am Sir Rogue.
And I am Sir Dan.
And I'll remind you to expand your power in the Discovery universe.
And I will draw to end.